Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Usually I don't look at black ships because, you know, they're lazy premiums. It's a tech tree ship painted black with a skill shuffle. But a lot of you have asked me, and these things are so prevalent right now because they're in the Blitz Pass, that I figured I'll do it. This is the Black Shimanto. So how does the Black Shimanto differ from the tech tree Shimanto? And what is that thing capable of, and is it worth getting it? So let's compare the two for obvious reasons. Here's the skill reshuffle. The Shimanto gets the defensive AA, whereas the Black Shimanto gets an engine boost and a torpedo reload. Other than that, these two ships are completely identical, which is not necessarily a given. Usually the black ships are getting a very slight boost in some stats here and there. But at least in the stats that we can see, they are completely identical. So this is a paid version of a ship that you can get absolutely for free, and the only thing you get is an engine boost and a torpedo reload. What you lose is the defensive AA, otherwise it's completely the same ship. Now, let's take a quick look into the Blitz Pass and see where you can actually get the thing. I think it's somewhere in here. I've seen it somewhere in here. It has to be on the paid layer down on the bottom. It's probably towards the end. No, that's not there. Where would it be? Here we go. So at level 40 of the paid Blitz Pass, you can either get the Black Shimanto. Alternatively, you can get yourself a Yudachi, which is a tier 7 to be fair, but is a pretty good ship still. Or you can get yourself an Ise, which is also a tier 7 and is not a very good ship. So, still the Yudachi is not a bad choice. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Shimanto before we get into the details. The Japanese light cruiser tree is relatively new. These things have a pretty poor maneuverability. So we are talking about an almost 10-second turn time. That's battleship level. And these are light cruisers, and they're pretty chunky. So, I mean, if we compare her to the Takao, that thing's bigger. So, yeah. They are not meant to be sailing around aggressively quite a lot. They are more meant for being in strategic positions and using the sheer number of guns, because that thing's got lots of guns. She's got 15 150mm guns and a set of torpedoes and a torpedo reload. Now, usually on the Shimanto, you get the defensive AA, and if we're looking at the AA values, because they're exactly the same, she's not an AA monster, but 48 with a 3.9 kilometer range on the large caliber and a def AA2, that's not bad. That's giving you effectively a 500 plus long range AA while that's active with an almost 4 kilometer range. So that's not a bad AA value. That is something we'll be losing, but in return we get other things. So let's look at it. Let's look at the setup. We can get the historical camo, which gives us main battery range, torpedo range, which is both good. Traverse speed, I would have preferred, actually I would have taken dispersion over torpedo range, because the base range of the torpedoes is already pretty good. Surface detection is good, and traverse speed is also good. You can also get, this looks very much like I've seen this camo before. There's an American camo that looks like this, I'm pretty darn sure. It was going all eagle and everything. But the only difference here being is that you get faster torpedoes and you get large caliber AA range, which isn't quite useful on this ship because you don't have the def AA skill. And honestly, I take surface detection over torpedo speed any day. So that is definitely the more useful camo. Now, one thing we can do is we can have a look at the actual Shimanto and see what the historical camo is doing here. And it's the exact same thing. You get on the tech tree one, however, you also get the not completely terrible Dawn Harmony one, which gives us range, torpedo range, max traverse speed, and surface detection. So it's exactly the same camo. Right, so the historical camo, the alternate camo, and the tech tree version are the same as the historical on the Black Shimanto, and the only alternative is the Eagle one, which is, in my opinion, less useful. This is a stealth build, and I'm playing this as a maxed out ship, just to see what we can get out of it. So we are actually running with the high-grade coal here, and with the main battery mod 3 in slot 1 for better dispersion, and with the concealment mod in slot 3. That's all. I would almost say it's debatable, but the problem with these ships is that their maneuverability is so bad, and that you often find yourself really in need of not being very aggressive with them. And that's kind of where the build sort of differs between the Shimanto and the Black Shimanto, because the regular Shimanto can defend itself against a carrier and does not have actually any need ever to get close anywhere. The torpedoes are a bit of an afterthought. Whereas with the Black Shimanto, with the additional ship skill, the torpedo reload, you kind of have to get more aggressive with the engine boost and the torpedo reload in order to make use of this skill, right? It's because if you can't use your torpedoes, or if you're using your torpedoes as an afterthought, then what's the point of this? I have actually put Mikawa on here, and there's a reason, there's a method to my madness, and that is the nitrate skill, because that gives an additional engine boost and an additional torpedo reload. So with him in here, we actually, and with the engine overload skill, we actually have 3 engine boosts and 3 torpedo reloads, so we can be a little bit more aggressive with using them. So given that I would generally classify these ships even less as an assault cruiser than the heavy cruiser line, really more of a stay back and use your guns to set fires, use your torpedoes, and defend yourself from carriers if you have to. They're almost really more baseline ships than the heavy cruiser line. That's sort of where my first thought was when I've seen the skills and say, okay, this doesn't quite work, because this is not an aggressive ship, generally speaking. But what happens if you do it anyway? Let's find out. So the short answer is 8 times out of 10 you get obliterated 2 minutes into the battle, and it is not very fun and engaging. 2 times out of 10, based on my very, very brief statistical check, because I have played 10 battles and 2 out of them have gone well. 2 times out of 10 you can have an awful lot of fun in the ship. In the first one, we are playing Epicenter on Chain. We are top tier against Colorado, Hipper. Yes, you will find an awful lot of Black Shimantos out there. And these things have an almost 10-kilometer torpedo range. So, and this is the Asian server, so you can see where this is going, right? So Colorado, Hipper, a double Black Shimanto, a regular Shimanto, a split, and an Ognivoy. Generally speaking, even I would almost say, if you're serious about it, even in the Black Shimanto, you probably just want to play it in a similar way. The issue that I have with that is that the torpedo angles are not great, and that you really don't get to use the torpedo reload that often to actually make a use of it. And if there is a carrier in game, then things don't tend not to go too well for you. So aggressive positioning and island positions that you can maybe do in a real Shimanto, and you can't quite do in the black version. So I am trying to play it more as a relatively aggressive assault cruiser, which is normally not something you want to do in these ships. Anyway, I am spawning on the right flank, and obviously with the absolute proliferation, I mean, half the teams that you're facing here at the moment are made out of these things. It's just an outright torpedo soup everywhere. So I'm gonna sneak up and see if I can make my way into a position behind the island there, behind the small island there in the outer ring, which would allow me to contest the center island from the destroyers. I'm using my torpedo reload booster early because it has a long reload. So with Mikawa I have 3. There's the destroyer, but it's got an almost 2-minute reload. So I can't. In order to actually make use of it, I have to trigger it as early as possible. Enemy Black Shimanto spotted here on the flank, who's got the same idea as I do, and it's double of them. So And I don't have any support because the friendly Black Shimanto who was here has buggered off. So torpedoes out, and I don't think my predictive torpedoes have hit anything. What sent these torpedoes out? I don't know, but there's no way I can dodge these. Ow, yeah. And I am on fire. That was probably the split. Come on, Damacon. There we go. Damacon tends to take a bit of time to actually hit. And yes, there comes the inevitable torpedo soup from everything. And my team has completely abandoned this flank, so we've lost a bunch of hit points for not an awful lot to gain, but we do need to get out of here at this point and make ourselves scarce. And with a stealth build, the best way to do that is to just stop shooting your guns. Wait for because the whole enemy team is coming around the other flank, so no, I don't want to be there. And I will, once my concealment has gone down, there we go, I will go undetected. So that was a successful extraction, but I have lost over half of my hit points, which is not great. But given that my team has completely abandoned the right side, there was no way I was going to stay back there. And now we just have to, well, we have a choice of targets really, destroyers in the middle, and again we have to play somewhat aggressively here because otherwise we're not even going to get in range of anything. And we almost have our torpedo reload ready. So let's see if we can do something about that hipper over there. I can heal back a little bit. I'm now obviously getting shot at from the Shimantos on the other side. But let's drop torpedoes in the general direction of the hipper. Hipper's got sonar, so I don't have the highest hopes that these are going to hit. But, you know, use it or lose it, so may as well. And then we'll try to shoot at some destroyers here, while again disengaging. Friendly enemy Black Shimanto over there is in a better position behind the mountain. And Hipper is avoiding almost all of the torpedoes, but is about to hit one, and there he goes. Now that leaves, okay, that's the first ship down actually on the enemy team, but we are holding the center cap, and there is a destroyer out there, and that Black Shimanto is very low on hit points. So let's see if we can get the kill. Let's get the gun turrets around, and we got the kill on him. Which means we can again push back into the center here, secure the center cap against Ognivoy and Split. Both enemy destroyers are outside, they are not actually engaging. And we have Black Shimanto and Colorado over there. Obviously torpedo soup. Obvious torpedo soup is obvious. Now that is going to hit the island, I hope. Yes, okay, so we are safe from torpedoes here, can recover a little bit of hit points. And then we will drop some more torpedoes in the general direction of the Shimanto over there and the Colorado. And yeah, we'll stay at range because, again, so many torpedoes out here. Choice of targets. That one, is he sailing behind or in front of the island? He might be sailing behind the island. But with the IFHE, we can actually score citadels with the high explosive here. Yeah, he's not coming around this way, but yeah, not worth using the torpedoes on. We'll just shoot him a bit more. As long as we're holding the center capture circles, we are collecting enough. We're collecting enough points, and I don't have the hit points to spare to really go and engage here. So we'll just make sure we maintain the central position. Sure we get the points income from the caps, and unload occasionally at enemy ships, and try not to die, so as to not lose points for our team. That Shimanto's got more HP than me, so he can go first. The Colorado is about dead, so let's get another salvo out, see if we can snatch the kill on the Colorado there. And we can. So that's the Colorado done for. That just leaves that Shimanto over there. And there's still one destroyer out there somewhere. So I think I am out of heals, but I think we can get just in range of the guns. But I don't necessarily want to go any closer than that because I don't have the hit points to spare, and I am not having the forward torpedo angles to do anything here. So let's try to back up behind the friendly Shimanto and use him for target avoidance while we are lobbing some torpedoes up. Nah, never mind, he's dead. That just leaves the split, and there's one more cruiser left, but I don't know where it went. So there's probably... Oh, there it is. It's another Black Shimanto, to nobody's great surprise. But we have won on points at this stage, and actually with our relatively aggressive gameplay, have managed to get the top position in the team. But this is generally not how you're comfortable playing in one of these ships. You're just too vulnerable in order to play aggressively like that. But it worked out in this case. Which brings us to our second game, Domination on Trident. And again, we're top tier, playing against obviously a Black Shimanto, but just one at this point. So there's only one regular and one Black Shimanto in our team, and only one black one on the enemy team. Against King George V, Black Shimanto, Charles Martel, a Black Amalfi, Coronel Bolognese, an Akizuki, and a Kagero. Off we go in Domination on Trident. Like I said, these two games were 2 out of 10. The other 8 were me dying horribly after 2 minutes. So there's that, really. But it's a bit of a special situation for 2 reasons. First of all, usually half the teams are full of Shimantos. So whoever runs into torpedoes first loses. And I've noticed that some people are very heavily focusing the Black Shimantos, probably under the assumption that they're loners, and that people who are playing them don't know what they're doing, which means they're easy prey, which means, you get focus fired quite a bit. So this whole thing might change, but we are heading towards A Cup, and here's where the maneuverability and the torpedo angles are once again playing havoc here, because I'm actually a little late in dropping the torpedoes. I would have liked to drop them earlier, because there comes the Kagero, and I would have totally hit him if I had dropped maybe 15-20 seconds earlier. But keep an eye on that Kagero. That Kagero is a that Kagero is going to be interesting through this game. Anyway, I've blapped him in the side quite a bit. He is using his smoke to disengage after running into way more opposition than he signed up for. He's burned his first heal, but there don't seem to be torpedoes in the water. Still, in order to be safe, I am turning around the other way rather than continuing on my course, and we are going to see that we make sure he stays out and that we maintain control over the capture circle. Because right now I am relatively alone over here, but we are holding the capture circle, and I've pushed the cargo away. The cruiser down there seems to be otherwise occupied, and there's the Coronel Bolognese. And the enemy team is clustering around C Cup, which, given that this is the Asian server, means that probably my friendly team is running as far away from C Cup as possible, except for that lone cruiser out there who is not in a good situation. So there they all come, trying to get as far away as possible from the enemy team, and making their way over here. I love you all on the Asian server, but you know what I'm talking about, right? These were not actually bad Kagero drops here, and Kagero is going undetected again. So some blind torpedoes out, because right now there's a Monarch over here, and something else. There's Monarch, there's the irregular Shimanto, so I am definitely not needed over here. But my team's lost, we're 2 kills down. We've lost a destroyer and we've lost a cruiser, and that Atlanta is now holding B Cup alone against the entirety of the enemy team. So I am making big steps over into B Cup in order to actually help out the team rather than running away from it. And we'll see that we can make ourselves useful. Now, if Atlanta is on the left side of this island, I am going to go the other side. So maybe we can get a little bit of a crossfire going. And that also gives me the opportunity to defend in B. Now, my team hasn't died in vain. All these ships are somewhat damaged already. And obviously I am undetected until I fire my guns. The team calls out, defend B. Yes, that's why I'm here. Because you all were running away. And now you're all coming back, but you haven't actually achieved anything. There's that Monarch again. Other than getting himself torpedoed by the Kagero that's been sailing around the south end, and the friendly Shimanto has been chasing the Coronel Bolognese, which isn't dead because the enemy team still has yet to lose a single ship. There's a Charles Martel, King George V, and the Akizuki. We know that the cargo is somewhere south of it, south of us, but again, this is an aggressive ship, and I've still got a good amount of hit points. So let's make sure that we're getting the King George V killed, and then we are going to give a turn and see that we get the torpedoes away against the Charles Martel before that thing can manage to get through. I am taking, yep, there comes the cargo again. That cargo is really trying to get me killed, and I'm going to give him the response. One widespread torpedo in his general direction, but he knows how to stealth destroyer. That would have been the Charles Martel. He knows how to stealth destroyer because he's going and he's just coming into range to drop his torpedoes, and then he's going undetected. The Monarch still chasing, wildly chasing after whatever target he's going after. He is going after the Coronel Bolognese, but there is a cargo out there. I am just warning you, and the Bolognese also has torpedoes. So that said, the Bolognese is playing at extreme range and has no interest in cap control. So he's about to run out of map to run into, and the Monarch is dead. Yeah, Black Amalfi's taken out the Monarch. Cargo is still out there somewhere, so I'm going to slow down already. But I do want to finish up the Bolognese, and we finish him up in style with a Citadel. There's some incoming fire. There is the Akizuki. That's probably a one-shot kill with the forward guns. Puff, there he goes. And we avoid the Akizuki's torpedoes. There comes the Shimanto and the Black Amalfi. So torpedoes out at these two. I will take one torpedo here, maybe. Yep, we've taken one. Come on, damage control. Control the flood, please. And we should be with the torpedoes coming in. We should have that. And that's the big caliber. Now we're going to turn around, just in case somebody has dropped torpedoes through the gap here. We're going to take the turn sharp. There's the enemy Black Shimanto. I should be able to catch him. I'm going to try. Yep, I got him. Okay, now there come. These are not Black Shimanto torpedoes. These are the Amalfi's torpedoes, I think. So, and there comes the Kagero, and in a Shimanto, you're not dodging that. So well done, Kagero, that was well placed. And now I'm a one-shot kill, and look what the Kagero is doing. He pops up and actually shoots me with the guns and sinks me. Well played, Kagero, and he gets a relatively rare medal for his effort, and well deserved, the Kraken Slayer, because I literally just sunk my 5th ship. So he gets the Kraken Slayer, which is not a very common medal to get, and well deserved. That was good. That was good stealth destroyer play. I would have only recommended to go more for the capture circles, but obviously with a whole set of cruisers, 2 Shimantos and an Atlanta squatting the capture circles, there's nothing you can do in a Kagero. So with the hand he's been given, very well played, deserved the kill there, but still we win in the end, and that is that. So Black Shimanto, is that a good ship? Is that an improved version of the regular Shimanto? It has a somewhat higher potential of damage just because of the torpedo reloads. The engine boosts aren't bad, but I personally don't feel the playstyle. It's trying to force you more into an aggressive playstyle, which I feel is something that some ships like Shimantos are not that well suited towards. If you're getting into kiting situations and you can spit some more torpedoes out, it's good, but the price you pay is that you don't get the def AA, which means that if you're getting yourself isolated, and depending on which server you're playing on, you have to play in front of the destroyers in order to actually get in range of the enemy team. It can make it really hard because if you come under carrier attack, you cannot effectively defend yourself against it. And it's not so much that you shoot all the planes down, it's also the psychological momentum for the carrier losing a large amount of his strike, and he might be picking other targets. So personally, I don't quite feel it, but that might also be down to the current situation. I'd say it's probably a fair trade, but then that raises the question as to why would you pay money for it. So for me, it's but I would probably take the Yudachi, because that's actually a quite interesting destroyer. But yeah, be my guest. It's not a bad ship, just as the Shimanto is not a bad ship. And hopefully when things have calmed down a little bit and you don't have 3 of them on each team, then you might be able to play it a little bit more successfully. But right now, it's just a bit mayhem out there. So there's that. So if you want one of these, and you want to have one that you can switch a Japanese commander in, sure. You're not going to have a huge amount of cross compatibility with the other lines, but in terms of captain skills, but yeah, it's workable. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.